What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be going over some of the things I've been working on and the things that's been keeping me preoccupied with personal projects, and that's going to be it for today's video. So let's go ahead. And I've been working on a few things with Tortoise. However, I ran into a few issues that kept me preoccupied for a couple of days, and that's a memory leak issue that I had. So I had a memory leak issue that was causing my RAM to explode over time because memory was not being released back to the system. And so I tried everything, and I kind of just documented everything that I had here. But in short, it's due to something with my NVIDIA drivers. And I think this aligns with me updating my NVIDIA drivers a couple of weeks back, and I think something happened. So I think in order to fix it, I need to I need to reinstall Windows and get all that set up from scratch. But because I don't want to do that right now, what I ended up creating was just a Python script that basically will kill any Python app that's running that's taking up too much memory with too much working or too much committed memory, and it'll just kill it if the working set is less than a certain amount based on certain criteria that I identified for the processes that are hogging up all of my memory. So I had a huge memory leak issue, and that was very annoying because it took me a few days to try to figure that out. And yeah, this is only an issue when I'm running WhisperX. So there's an issue that you can look at in the event viewer. And so this is what I use to help identify it. I use the resource monitor and then Windows event viewer to find out what was happening. And I found out that there was an issue with some type of DLL from NVIDIA. So other than that, what I want to get into is talk about what I've been trying out for extending the Tortoise model and training and getting basically better multilingual models. And so I am basically documenting everything that I do inside of this change log and my notes markdown file. And I've tried a couple of things that haven't turned out too successfully yet. I think there are some fundamental concepts that I might be missing with how the model works as a whole, but just trying a few things out while I learn a little bit more on how this architecture actually works. I'll go over that real quick. So for extending the Tortoise model, what I tried doing was basically copying and freezing all of the weights from the existing Tortoise model into let's say a larger Tortoise model. And so what I'm trying to incorporate are additional text tokens. And the reason I need the additional text tokens is so that I can use different scripts from other languages, so that I don't have to convert everything into English letters, and so that I can also have different tokens that have more nuanced sounds or semantic meaning to them. And that first approach that I tried didn't go too well. I thought what I could do was have the Tortoise model with the already trained tokens and leave those frozen so that I can still use English, and then just add on another language on top of that. So in this case, Japanese, and to see if that would produce a Japanese English model. But I didn't get any comprehensible Japanese out of the training session that I completed, and I didn't get any comprehensible English out of that either. So that didn't work, or at least my approach to it didn't work, which was basically copying the weights, making a larger tokenizer, and then training on a data set that consisted of just Japanese. So I was thinking that maybe because the Tortoise model already has an understanding of English, that maybe just adding Japanese and training on Japanese with different tokens would allow me to create a bilingual model. You may be thinking that maybe it's because I didn't use the same tokenizer, and I did use the same tokenizer. I just added and appended the Japanese text or the Japanese characters after it in the tokenizer. So let me find that real quick. It was this tokenizer right here. So basically what I did with this one was just copy the tokenizer that's used natively in Tortoise, and then just append after the 255th index the Japanese tokenizer, which is, you see the Japanese text here. So that I tried and didn't get too much success with that. So right now what I'm currently doing is I'm running training I'm rerunning training with 3 languages: English, Japanese, and Vietnamese. And in this case, I have data from all 3 languages. So my hope with this is that it will learn those 3 languages with the tokens that, with the BPE tokenizer that I created for the language. And we'll see how that appears after a few epochs. Now, I did try to train from scratch, and that didn't result in anything comprehensible because I don't think I have the right amount of data. I think I'm only training on probably like 300 to 400 hours of data right now, which a model trained from scratch compared to the 49,000 hours that the original Tortoise author used is nothing in comparison. So yeah, I have this tokenizer here, and that is being used for my current training. So if all of this sounds like mumbo jumbo to you, I am completely sorry. I didn't think of a way to phrase all of this better. I'm kind of just brain dumping right now, so excuse me for that. But yeah, this is just kind of one of those update videos that I'm just talking about things, so nothing too edited or refined. And then one other thing that I ran into, another issue was, so after I basically extend the Tortoise model by copying the existing weights into a larger model that has a larger vocabulary size, in this case, I converted it from 256 to 512. What I wanted to do to make sure that it still is usable, make sure that the tokens actually didn't change or that the model didn't have any issues with it, was once I copied the weights to the larger model, I just ran inference on it to make sure that it still sounds like the original model that I copied it from. And it does now, but I ran into a certain issue with the architecture of the code. So because the CLVP model inside of Tortoise, basically what the CLVP model does is it grades the samples, or it grades the outputs of the autoregressive model and determines which sample sounds closest to the input text. And in this case, since we're using a different language, it wouldn't be able to accurately do that grading process because it wasn't trained on that. So in essence, if we wanted to actually use the CLVP, we'd have to train it on these other languages. So I just removed it from the pipeline as a whole. And what this does is it allows for the text embeddings, which is what I extended, to actually run through the pipeline without any issues. And so the CLVP was also trained on a 256 number of text tokens embedding size. And so I could just extend that and extend the CLVP model. But since the CLVP model isn't actually being used for anything useful in this pipeline anymore, I just went ahead and removed it. So that is just my speculation and understanding of how this CLVP model works in the system. It's just another way of grading whatever the autoregressive model is outputting to make sure, or to hopefully ensure that it's the closest sample or the best sample to the text that you want the model to read out. And then another thing, this one was just a code thing. So after removing the CLVP, I just needed to change this function call fix autoregressive output, or else it would always output 23-second long audio files. And I think that's due to the way that it was trained on, I believe. But yeah, that is so far the stuff that I've gone through to try to train this multilingual model. I will push my notes to the GitHub in case you want to read through all of my ramblings on here. So these haven't been pushed to GitHub, and you'd find it underneath changelog and my notes.markdown. There was an additional thing that I did run into, and that was basically my utilization of my GPU wasn't at max. You would see spikes of the GPU, and what I mean by that, if I go into the task manager, is if I look at this GPU graph right here, I was seeing it go up and down, so kind of like spikes. And what was happening here was the data loader wasn't loading enough data to saturate my GPU. So I actually never took note of this before, and by default it's set to 2, but you can increase it a little bit higher so that you can get that 100% utilization. And this all depends and varies based on whatever GPU you have. The values that worked for mine were 16 for the number of workers, and then a batch size of 32 with no gradient accumulation. And so I didn't actually realize this, but these values could also be set inside of generate configuration with this worker processes. So in this case, I would just set it to 16 instead of the default 2 value, which is what it's at right now. And yeah, this is training running right now, so I don't have any more update on that until it finishes. But that's gonna be pretty much it. I've been working on this and kind of got lost for time on making a YouTube video, so that's why it's been a little bit of time between the previous one. I do have plans for a few that I want to come out with. So one, I still need to show how to set up the VoiceCraft repository, so I want to do that for Docker. 2 is a video follow-up for the AI voice cloning repository, how you can install it via the package that I packaged up. And then 3, I really want to create a video where I talk about all of the Tortoise parameters that I understand so far. And I think I might release that for members content. So if you're a member of the channel, this will benefit you because I would post it and it would just be me going over Tortoise, some of the parameters, hyperparameters, and just talking a little bit about that. I don't know what order I want to create these videos in, so we'll see how that plays out. But I'm excited to see how this multilingual base model comes out. But if anyone has more information on training these models, I would love to talk, because I think there are some areas that I just might not understand enough to know why my training isn't working as it should. Because the big issue with ML and deep learning is a lot of times the model will train, but it won't actually work. So that is the worst. You can't actually debug what's happening unless you have a deep understanding of what's going on. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Once again, I would like to thank all of the members of my channel for supporting me, and very much appreciate it. So I'll see you in the next one.